I was asked a question earlier about how I got started doing body work with horses, and I never really deeply thought about that because I somehow incorporated it in my work from the very beginning of my training back in the early 90s. And so I had to kind of dig deep and remember where and how it started to filter into my training program. And I remember I had one horse. It was a thoroughbred, and his name was Flint, and he was my jumper pre-classical journey. And he's actually the one who changed my whole journey. But I remember learning the work in hand and flexions and stuff like that. And I started to use the work in hand and the flexion work with him because he had struggled a lot with his balance. And if you didn't line him up right, he was lame. So I learned how to properly set up a horse with work in hand to promote and create soundness. So without the work in hand and the flexion work, he would be lame. So that was my one first huge memory of the horse who taught me flexions, the benefits of work in hand, and how to take a very stiff lame horse and create a very soft, supple, pliable horse to enjoy his life. And then I went more down the rabbit hole, and I think because, again, I've never really thought about this, having had trained so many rehabs in my lifetime of horses that were damaged, you couldn't do anything in the beginning other than create body awareness. So you have to go in and soften the body of the horse and explain to the horse that they didn't need to react and how to have a solution to these resistances and tensions and fears and all of these built up issues that were created by humans. And so my hands began to wander from just the face and the neck of the horse to the whole body. And then being able to teach the horse how to accept the leg. I used body work because my hands were an extension of my leg. To pick up the feet, the horse had to learn how to be, soft when you touch and not overreact or underreact. And so then you have all of these things. When you put on the saddle, you'd have to correct the horse's stance where they were standing and help them to understand how to stand quietly in a soft balance. So there you have body work. And then from I've had horses who were colicking, and I've used my hands to remove the buildup or the tension that they had in their ribs and in their lower back to release the gas, which then I didn't need a vet. So I have, holy smokes, acupressure along the spinal column to help to release certain muscles or find problems. Unlevel hips, going in and working around the hip area to help the horse soften a stiffer hip and teach them how to use their body in a manner that's not stuck. There's so many different things that I've learned and created with my hands with the body work through doing all these rehabs and damaged horses. You had horses you couldn't put a bridle on, let alone they wouldn't even open up their mouth. So you had to teach them how to soften and release the head and neck and the jaw, and how to trust the human hand, and how to teach them how you could touch the ears without them overreacting. That's all body work. because you don't want the horse to resist and pull back or fight. And so all of these things are ways to elongate and stretch and soften the horse so that they work with you instead of against you. And then also having an understanding of the biomechanics and the movement, how there's certain holding patterns in the horse's body that you could go in and let go, have them let go of, or teach them how to let go to erase the blockages and smooth them out so the horse can flow more. So then you go into working in a stall and teaching the horse how to stand still and do this stuff, and then you create movement within it. And then if the horse moves and pulls and gets stuck, then you got to stop and you work it back out again. So I think because I was so highly educated in movement and correct movement from my master, and we focused so intently on fixing and helping the body of the horse, that from the riding, I was able to take it and put it on the ground and apply it without riding. And a lot of horses you couldn't ride that came in when they got sent to me for training. So you had to spend a lot of time on the ground teaching them what they needed to let go of or to trust, or unblocking things. And then it just built into my training regime, because a lot of these horses I wouldn't dare get on because I know better. And if a horse can't travel around me on a circle well balanced at the walk and the trot and canter, there's no way that I'm going to swing a leg. So you had to break it down and keep breaking it down and keep breaking it down to that place where the resistance was locked and the body was stuck and the tension was created into, however big the ball was. And sometimes it was more than one area in the horse's body. So then you had to move through the horse's body to get it to release so that you could have access of the top line, access of the jaw, access of the hind legs, access of the base of the neck. And without any of those things being soft, you're constantly dealing with a horse that's got some form of a hiccup. So because I understood how to free the body up from back to front, and from front to back, I then knew how to utilize the work to create the connection through the middle. Because without tension, you can build the top line. So it could only flow if you were able to remove the tension. So I started to learn where the holding patterns were, and each horse has similar holding patterns, some not so much, but generally it's kind of the same pattern. And then you begin to understand the pattern, and then that's a whole nother talk. But that's kind of that was my work, or lead into the body work. So I don't train my horses without working on their bodies first. I don't just hop on. There's sequential steps that we do to create the least amount of resistance and the most amount of collaboration and flow, so that the horse's body is soft and flowing. Without that, for me, you're constantly hitting a wall. So I like to remove my walls before I add myself in the picture on the horse's back, which there are always something. It's never perfect. But as you begin to be able to remove the walls and the tension buildup in the horse's bodies and understand how to free that up, it makes for much more pleasurable riding and a much more pleasurable communication, connection, relationship with your horse, because now your horse is like, I feel so much better, and yes, I will follow you, and we can do this and we can do that. And if we struggle, then I kind of break it down and figure out where we're getting stuck, and then we go remove the blockage again or the wall, and then we carry on, and that's the modalities of my training. when I start to ride, because if there begins to be a blockage under saddle, then I go back and I figure out where and how to relieve it, release it, remove it, soften it, and then we move forward again. So body work is essential. There's a lot to learn, and I love it. It's allowed me to save countless horses' lives, and hopefully there are more people out there who truly understand it and see the value in it. So, happy solstice.